Hi, my name is Nick Burnham and I'm down here in Darthaven for Motor Boat Yachting aboard a brand new boat into the UK. In fact, it's a new range into the UK. It's an Italian make and it's called Invictus. Now they build boats from about 20 feet up to about 37 feet. This is a new model to the range and this is a 24-footer. And the whole concept of this is a centre console walk around day boat. There's a couple of nice features to this. Firstly, it's got very nice high sides to it, so you do feel like you're in the boat and not on it. There's some quite neat detailing, there's some lovely stitching and some nice little features throughout the boat, and some nice practical features too. This back seat here, for example, will convert to a sun lounger, and there's another dinette area at the front. There's a table that will go in there as well, or you can convert that to a sun lounger. But the real killer feature for this boat, I think, is the fact that under the centre console here, it's actually got a proper sea toilet with a holding tank. So if you're out with a family, that's a loo that can be used wherever you are, whether you're in a river, in a harbour or out at sea. And that might sound like a small feature, but I think for a family that's really important. So out here on the water, just ticking along, the two things that I noticed particularly is, firstly, how very quiet it is. With that Suzuki 200 ticking over, you hardly know it's running, which if you're just pootling up a river would be very nice. Also, the boat feels very stable. It feels like a lot of boat around you. For a fairly small boat, you feel like you're in it rather than on it. But of course, this boat isn't about pootling about. This boat is about performance, and we've got the smallest of the three engine options. Invictus do this with a 200, a 225 or a 250 horsepower, and we have the 200 on here. That said, it's perfectly ample for this boat. The pickup onto the plane is pretty instant. We can get up to planing just there. And she runs very nicely at around 4,000 RPM and about 18-19 knots. She's up on the plane and that's a nice comfortable speed. But of course, there's plenty left. If we open the throttles a bit more, the sweet spot seems to be at around 5,000. Just trim the engine out a bit, she seems to like a bit of trim. And at 5,000 RPM, which is where we are now, she's pulling just under 30 knots. That's about 27, 28, occasionally 29. And that's a very comfortable cruising speed. The boat feels well within its limits. And it feels a nice place to be. The screen gives you plenty of shelter. And the boat's cutting through the water nicely. But there's plenty to go. We can wind her out, top speed. We saw about 34, maybe 35 knots earlier, and the boat feels very capable at that sort of speed. I certainly think you could go to the 250 if you wanted the ultra-wooden performance, and you wouldn't feel like you are overpowering the boat. It's certainly capable of the sort of 40 knot top end that Invictus promised it'll do with that engine. In terms of the handling, it's not the sharpest lock I've ever driven, but it does turn and point quite nicely. And it does mean that you can put somebody who's not used to driving behind the helm and not feel afraid that they're going to tip into too tight a turn. But it does corner well, it doesn't cavitate, it doesn't slip, and again, it's confidence inspiring. The whole boat feels, I think, like a bigger boat than a 24-foot boat. It's a nice place to be. We're out maybe a mile offshore at the moment. It's quite a calm day, but it's the sort of thing where you could head out to sea and not feel like you want to hug the coast. It does feel like a proper boat to get out here and really enjoy. we've had a perfect day to be out on this boat today. It's exactly the sort of weather you'd want to use a boat like this. It's the sort of thing where on a summer's day you come down, you chuck your gear on board, you hop on with your family and you head out for the day. It's great for that. It's a nice comfortable boat. It's nice out on the water, it pumps the spray out nice and wide, people don't get wet on it. And there's plenty of room around the boat because it's a centre console, you can walk all the way around it, you've got this nice seating area up in the bow and it gives you plenty of options. But what I really like is the detailing. If you look closely, you find things like gas struts holding locker lids up. You find things like little fender eyes to tie the fenders onto. It really feels thought out and it feels nicely put together. I'm really impressed with this boat. I've got to say, it's won me over today.